GM, just a quick one before we get going. So, as you know, the Blockmates podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. Certainly shouldn't be considered as financial advice. We have absolutely no idea what we're talking about half the time. So, any investment decision you do make should be based on your own research and your understanding of the risks involved. One more thing as well, there's around 50% of people who listen regularly who aren't subscribed yet. So, if you please could just do us a favor and hit the subscribe or the follow button or the like button, helps content grow, helps us grow, helps it reach more people like yourselves, and it means the world to us as well. So that's the last I'll ask of you. So yeah, let's get to the episode.
We are live. We are back. We have, as Jedi just said off camera, we have 3 new apes joining us on the podcast today. Welcome, gentlemen. Introduce yourselves in case people don't know who we are.
All right, Andrew, you want to go first? I'll take it. Fine. I spoke already, so I'll break the ice.
Sure,
hey guys, this is Varun here, the co-founder and CEO at Hashflow, and by CEO I mean Chief Entertainment Officer. So just a correction there.
No one told me the CEO was going to be here. For goodness sakes, we would have gotten champagne and dancing girls. For goodness sakes.
I know. I'll start doing K-pop videos and TikTok soon. You know, to make my presence felt. So
you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Hashflow K-pop videos on TikTok.
Varun is actually an incredible dancer, so I don't think it'll happen today, but at some point at a Hashflow event, you'll see.
I'll maybe next year. You know, I'm saving for bull market. You know, who's that guy? Bitsy, who did the little weird dance a few years ago.
And then we've got Thibault. We haven't met, sir. Welcome.
No, we haven't.
To have you. It's fantastic to have you here. Please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you. Yeah, I do data and operations. I've been, heads down in the Hashverse with the team for a while now, and it's great to see it live. It's great to see you apes in there. I'm excited for what's to come. I think there's still so much more in the works that we'll talk about some of it today, I'm sure. Andrew's the alpha king, so he'll be the one dropping the alpha. I'll be telling him like, wait, we never announced this, and then suddenly we'll have announced it via this convo. So yeah, it's great to meet you guys.
Cool, welcome.
What's up? I'm Andrew Saunders, longtime listener, second-time caller on Blockmates. What's up? Also affectionately referred to as the Colonel and Ryan Reynolds, TLDR. But who wants a little alpha? Let's get this started. The alpha is we just dropped 2 more pairs, my friends. So if you go into the Hashverse in about 20 minutes, you'll see the announcement. You can start swapping from USDC to Link. And you can start swapping from USDC to wrapped Bitcoin. So still wrapped Ethereum, but now the 3-for-1 special, as I like to call it.
I got to ask, why Link?
Why not? Why not Link? Do you want my?
Are you secretly a Link Marine? Is this what this show's going to turn into today?
That's the alpha of the alpha.
I'll give you my take on Link. So I think I've said this on other podcasts. Link is the first token I ever bought years ago. I worked very closely with Chainlink at Arbitrum. I do very much like the Chainlink team and Sergey. I do like what they're building. I think CCIP is being slept on a little bit. I saw a little bit of hype around Link recently on Twitter, which I expect to see more of. And then I don't think that everyone knows this, but like Chainlink is do a little of your own research, but that Swift partnership is no joke. So anyways, I like Chainlink. Yes, I'm a Link Marine. But honestly, I just look at it as a blue chip asset for sure.
But also, just to add to that, it's mostly what assets are also available to market make as we roll out and we add more assets. So we should have so the more straightforward answer is we're gonna add like every pair there, right? So we've been rolling out on experimental basis, right? So first we start because battle 1, we're like, okay, there's a lot going on, so let's start simple. Now ETH/USDC worked well. We're like, fine, let's add 1 more blue chip, and then let's pick 1 more of a slightly long tail but still blue chippy asset, and see how that turns out, and then use that as a data to essentially pretty much open up to everything else.
Okay,
So
but
I
now
love the two
let's-
conflicting stories here. You had like
Andrew
Andrew's
gave the
like,
more-
you know,
Andrew gave the more marketing answer. I gave the more technical answer.
Varun's answer is the correct answer. I'm just here for the hype.
Yeah, but hang on a second. Let's just start at the beginning, because I think even though this is, I mean, we might as well be drinking beers right now and smashing tequilas, but we also need to kind of like get to the business side of this thing. And the business side of this thing is that you guys have built something that's quite unique in the approach. And I think I think there's various facets of this thing that I'd love to chat about. And the first thing is like, you know, firstly, what is Hashverse? And then like the whole marketing aspect around it. I know that, Andrew, you'd probably be dying to talk about this, but I want to just go back, you know, to you, Varun, and just kind of look at like the whole idea around Hashverse. I mean, is it just a glorified DEX? What is actually going on here? And what is it that you guys have built?
No, absolutely. I mean, obviously, Hashflow, when it started as a DEX, right? It's a decentralized exchange that allows people to swap without third-party intermediaries, right? So now I think one of the interesting things that occurred to me about the whole GameFi frenzy as it took off is essentially, like, if you think about trading, it's a game, right? There are winners, there are losers, and there are people competing for basically capturing the alpha and winning it, right? So I think that's one of the interesting aspects of trading. As you trade more, you realize, well, like, basically you're competing against other people in their basement or in their offices. Doesn't matter, right? So essentially competing against a bunch of other random strangers on the internet to see who takes it all, right? So in a way, it is a way for people to engage with each other. So as of now, when you look at trading, it's like, while it is a game, but it's not really played like a game. Like, it's really, you know, people who are doing these trading competitions or just applying trading strategies are, you know, you see them as quants, the guys in suits, right? So, like, okay, well, if you're seeing the GameFi emerge, the whole idea of how Andrew defines GameFi is basically gamification of financial applications, right? Now, what financial application exists that can be gamified instantly, right? So in fact, something that already looks like a game, right, which is trading. So if you have trading, which is already a competition, can we actually make that even more interesting and use that as a way to build, you know, stronger communities and just give everyone a chance to compete, but also just use that as a way to build a brand and have like communities come together and rally around something that they all have in common, right? So is it basically a strategy to expand the community and brand building, but also at the same time turn trading into a more glorified, more of a gaming experience where people can actually participate and compete and use that as a way to, obviously, from a business perspective, expand the DAUs and volumes and such, but then also and grow the community and the brand as we go along with it, right? So that was a general strategy around, this experiment. Now it is to be seen how well it works, right? So obviously we started simple. Maybe like, let's deploy a leaderboard, let's start a single pair and do spot and see how it turns out, and then take the data points. And now from here we can actually build something more intricate, right? That make very scale things, add more assets, change the way people can trade to once we launch like things like derivatives and so on, that'll be even more interesting. But this is the beginning of many more interesting things to come.
I've got a question for you, Thibault, because I know we did a podcast it was about 6 months ago now. And I feel, because I rewatched it the other week, and I feel like a lot has changed from what we originally spoke about. What has changed in the Hashverse from 6 months ago when we first spoke?
I think the main thing that we brought on since then is the concept of allegiances. And I think actually this is credit to Andrew. He came on and he really saw the opportunity of making this a team-based experience versus an individual kind of questing experience. So with that in mind, we kind of had to restructure a number of things. The main one being the mechanics of like, how do you make this like an intuitive, fun platform for communities to come in as a, almost as a unit. And I think overall that thesis proved out to be extremely successful. There's just so much more value in being part of a sub community in the Hashverse than to just joining as an individual. So I would say from the last time that we spoke, that's a major update, a major change that came about, and to where we're at now.
People said, like, I don't think people understand how much work has to then go into that kind of stuff, right? Because one, we've got to onboard every single allegiance. We've got to identify captains for allegiances. We've got to design custom characters. So I think we have now so we have a little more alpha. We have 4 more allegiances coming. We had to design like 160 custom characters. And again, like you guys know this, we don't just design them and say, here you go. Like we want to lean into their IP, to inspire it. We want to share it with them for feedback. So just the amount of kind of physical work that goes into this stuff behind the scenes, I think is a lot more than the average person realizes. Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, like I think one of my favorite actual like avatars that you've done, it's the blueberries, because these look like some absolutely jacked up, juiced up little like Martians who have like spent all their day just like bench pressing, bicep curls, doing like loads of shrugs, because these little blueberries traps are absolutely enormous. Like whoever was doing the artwork on that,
oh man,
phenomenal.
So the TLDR is like a lot of these communities obviously come from Arbitrum, where I was CMO of Arbitrum, and Blueberry Club, I hold the Blueberry, I love those guys. There's a lot of great traders there, and that was a tough one, because we were like, okay, if you look at their NFTs, they're very cutesy, right? But like, if you're going to bring them into battle, like obviously you need to evolve that a little bit. But I agree with you; those are actually some of my favorite as well. Yeah.
And I will say it was one of the hardest ones to design early on. Like that one went through the most rounds of revisions for that same reason, that like, how do you make a blueberry a warrior? It's just they can be quite conflicting, but it turned out pretty good, I think. Yeah.
Turned out really well. And one of the things that we spoke about last time in the podcast was that the Hashverse was going to be almost like a gamified DAO. Sorry, not gamified DAO, but gamified governance. Is that still going to be the case, or have you like slightly moved away from that now?
So I was going to say there's still the governance component to it, but I think last time, obviously, when we are doing it, the selling feature was just the governance aspect of it, and we can do a lot better than just governance. Like governance is interesting, but if the key North Star we are optimizing for on the product is trading, and
I was going to say, could you imagine if the donkeys actually win and they're the ones that get to control the governance of your protocol? Jesus Christ, that would just be like,
I'll tell you something. So there was also, I will say this, there was a lot of thought put into like who these teams get to be, right? And so when I go back to kind of my previous role, I look at who are the most active community members, who live and breathe the ethos of Web3. And so I think there's a lot of thought put into these communities and allegiances. And I will say, like, looking at you guys and Realm and Donkeys at the top of the leaderboard, these are the kinds of folks that I do want voting on governance proposals. So I'm excited. Yeah.
So I want to just
sorry.
I just want to I think what's really important about this whole thing, and coming back to the original question around what it is that you guys have built, just for anyone who's jumped in on this recording and is wondering what the hell we're on about, just some context. It's kind of like, essentially it is like Varun was saying early on, it is a gamification of a concept of trade. So using trade to get points. So if you open a trade on a link pair and you get 20% gain, that obviously counts on some kind of a point system, which I don't entirely know about. We can chat about it, but that's essentially what it does. So there are quests. So every day you essentially report in and you get asked a bunch of questions which are related to a fantasy world. I'm really looking forward to see how the story unfolds and how that story will be applied to some kind of narrative within the context of the Hashverse. And I'm pretty sure that you guys have got something up your sleeves. I don't think anything that you do is by chance. I know exactly what's going on here, even though I have no fucking clue. But it's really cool. It's really fun. Like the guys were mentioning, the graphics are really well thought out. They are very appealing. there is kind of like this 2000 AD vibe that's going on, Rogue Trooper style thing. And it's like, it definitely does appeal to, I think, generally kind of like a reprobate, degenerate kind of mindset. But at the same time, there is the serious aspect to what it is that the guys are doing. What I also like is the potential for an external market around NFTs where you can use an NFT or NFTs to fight your opponents who are on the leaderboard by essentially, I have these images of essentially cutting people's legs off by their knees before they can actually get the upper hand on me. So it is quite brutal. It is quite bloody out there, and it's been really well thought out. So well done, dudes. I think you guys have smashed it. Now I want to get into kind of like the scoring system and the way that you guys kind of like figured this thing out. I don't know who can speak to this, but it's like, how do we maximize our points so that we can beat these fucking donkeys?
Yeah, I'll let the other guys jump on this one, but one thing I want to hit, going back to what you were saying before. So we knew this was going to be very complex, and to your point, like this is all methodical. Nothing is by chance, and I can talk about some of that stuff later. But we intentionally made a game guide, which either link in my bio or go on the Hashverse site. But the game guide is very in depth, and then we also created 7 different language versions of it. Based on different geos where we know folks would be coming from, either current Hashflow users, DEX users, things like that. So again, it's very thought out. That is a great resource. And I would say to folks, like, read it over again. The other thing that we've been doing, which I don't know that everybody realizes, and maybe, candidly, we should just make it a little more awareness around it, is we created an FAQ section of the game guide. And so what we've been doing is, if I get a DM from someone on Twitter, or even if I'm playing and something isn't fully clear to me, or I don't fully understand something, in real time, we generate an FAQ and we put it on there. So read the game guide, but then more importantly, scroll down, read the FAQ, because a lot of those like questions you would probably ask have now been answered. And we do that in real time.
Yeah, and I think onto, I guess, scoring in general, you guys have seen, so XP is really the metric that matters in the Hashverse. That's what's going to get you your main leaderboard rank, and it's going to decide your rewards, right? One thing that's important to keep in mind is that the XP that you get from Battle Royale is meant to be a lot higher than any XP that you could earn from like the single player quests. So the Battle Royale does weigh really heavily in terms of like the XP that you'll earn individually and as an allegiance member. So I think that's one thing that maybe hasn't been emphasized enough, or that we have yet to communicate, because Battle Royale is still in its early stages, and competing in it is a fraction of what it's going to be as new pairs come out, as more NFTs come out, etc. But the bottom line, I think, is get your XP in the Battle Royale, because you can do as many of those single player quests as possible, but everyone else is doing those. What's really going to differentiate allegiances is going to be performance in the Battle Royales.
Yeah. And I would just add to that like a couple things, and then I'll kind of walk you through like different ways to earn XP or some tips. You get XP, to Thibault's point, just for participating in Battle Royale, right? So it's, I think it's 250 XP for just participating. Don't forget, this is a season-long competition, and this is just season 1, right? And so we're in battle 1 of many, right? So let's just fast forward. You've been in 10 battles. Just as a participant, you now have 2,500 XP that anyone that hasn't been in any battles, or even as many battles as you have, right? So I think that notion of like showing up and being consistent, which is like an ethos of Web3, definitely holds true. And then, going into the Hashverse for a second. So there's a couple things I would say here. So in single player mode, you have the story quests, right? You want to get the answers right. Again, this was well thought out. You get the answer wrong, you get a second chance for 50% of the XP, right? So you want to get those right. A little hack that I will give you guys: fast forward to the question, then go back and read it again, right? You're more likely to get it right. I don't think people realize you can do that. You can do that. The second one is daily quests. So we have what's called Daily Dexer. This was intentionally built for 2 reasons. One, I am a trader. I have a lot of friends that trade, but I also have a lot of friends that don't trade. And I think the quality of information out there is typically very questionable. So we were like, can we create a platform to literally educate new traders or novice traders and help turn them into like pro traders over time? And so you'll notice now a lot of the questions are DeFi terminology, TradFi terminology, very macro stuff. over time, that's going to get more micro. We'll get into things like candlesticks. We'll get into like advanced trading strategies. But again, the goal here was, even if you live in a country where you don't have the liquidity to be a trader, and maybe you're sitting on 20 USDC, by doing daily DEXer over time, you can really up-level your knowledge and skill set and really actually turn that into something meaningful, by learning how to do this properly. So I think that's a big thing. So doing those quests, obviously you earn more XP. The next thing is trade streaks. So I'll talk about it both in terms of Battle Royale and single player. So we have what's called trade streaks. So every single day you make a swap that registers as a trade, right? And I'll give you guys some alpha. The longer you maintain a trade streak, the more surprises you get. So that meaning, something might happen after 5 days, something might happen after 10, something big might happen after 365. So just by maintaining that trade streak, you're also going to earn more XP. TLDR there, like studied psychology, habit formation. So the idea here is, if we can get people to do this on a regular basis, they start using the product, they start becoming familiar with it, it becomes habitual. Maybe they bookmark it on their toolbar, but then over time, maybe they start to understand the benefits like, like this is a really easy to use, user experience, or, I now see the financial benefit of a premium market maker versus an AMM model, right? RFQ model, right? So again, that was intentional. And then if we switch over to the Hashverse side, to the Battle Royale side, I mean, basically one, just by playing, you earn XP, right? Number two, if you end up at a high ranking, you might earn some additional XP. If you're in a top 3 allegiance, you might earn some additional XP, right? So we do allow everybody to switch allegiance once a season, but again, be smart about that because the season is pretty long. And if you make that trade now, you might regret it in the future because you could have been in a top 3 allegiance for 5 battles and again, earn more XP than other players. So I think that's like an important call out. You'll notice within there's obviously the trade button, which is very much, in a sense, the DEX mechanic built into it. And I think with that, again, you can go on the Hashflow DEX and make a trade. You can make a trade through Battle Royale. They'll both register towards your trade streak and they'll both help you, earn XP. And then the last one, which I know Dan loves, which is again, more of a single player thing is report for duty. And again, report for duty, very simple. You just show up every day, you deploy your warrior onto the battlefield, and then there's a slot-like mechanic. And so the way that works is, a lot of people can earn a small amount of XP every day. A few people can earn a very large amount of XP per day. And that is just very random. So even for me, I've had some really good days and I've had some really bad days. But the TLDR there, the little alpha piece, is boosting. So if you boost, which means you stake XP and stake HFT, you can choose both the denomination amount of HFT and also the duration of it. And then that impacts basically what's called your boost. So if I look at mine right now, my boost right now is 1.19, which means when I report for duty, I'll do simple math. Let's say I get 100 XP randomly. I'm now getting a 19% increase on that. That's someone that didn't have that boost is not going to get, right? So there's a lot of little intricacies here, but I think again, if you pay attention to every little piece, there's strategies, right? Like you might be on an allegiance and you might be, sharing answers to questions, or you might create a spreadsheet with different boosts and someone figures out a little hack to create like the best boost possible, right? So that's why we encourage the team-based approach is talk to your friends, like share this information, because if you can all up level together, your team's going to up level as one, right?
Yeah, you've done like the game mechanics really well. And like for somebody, if you're to break it down like really simply, it's log in daily. So do your daily quests like you're doing like all your, your Candy Crush games and whatever, do the daily quests. If you want to boost, get the boost and just generally have some fun. And like you would do, I remember back in the days playing like RuneScape and World of Warcraft, and Joe was exactly the same. You'd sit there all day on TeamSpeak, on Ventrilo, and for those that remember, IRC or MIRC, so that tiny little internet relay chat that was like, just like little bricks there. You'd be in there all day, sharing alpha. So what's been quite cool to see is we've done it in the Blockmates Discord. We got like a separate little Hashverse, little area for everyone's just like, oh, who are we fighting today? I'm just like, you know what? Just hit the top person, hit the top person, because as soon as you hit the top person, they lose like 5 to 10% health and they go straight to the bottom. I've seen it because I was going to get everybody to attack the highest ranking donkey. I attacked him and then he just disappeared. I'm like, oh my God, I've actually killed him. Oh my God. I'm like, Dude, I'm so sorry. I genuinely didn't mean to. I know we've been smack talking, but like, I actually went and bought, a lost donkey today, just because I felt so bad. And then I did it to a couple of the blueberries because I was saying earlier, these blueberries are stacked and jacked, and nobody's going to be more stacked and jacked than the apes because in reality, a blueberry's like that. A monkey is absolutely massive, benching 4 wheels like that. But the simple game mechanics on it, I know you explained it really complicated, but it really is log in every day, do the quests, and just have a really good time. One thing that I definitely would love to see in the game is like a global chat, so then everybody has a place to chat.
Well, I'll give you some alpha, my friend, and then I'll tell you something interesting about the Battle Royale leaderboard. So this is V1, obviously. You know, we wanted to launch it. We wanted to deliver for the community. Obviously, you know, the Allegiance piece took a long time. So there's a lot of additional things that we want to add that are going to, you know, start to get added over time. So one is a chat box that's been on the roadmap for a while. It's already in development. So I won't tell you when, but you'll know when it appears. And that's going to be fun because I think what we're thinking right now is not only would it be kind of a chat box, but you'd also be able to see like what's happening in real time in the battle, right? So for example, like on my player, if I click, just to kind of show you guys, if I go into Battle Royale and I click on battle log, and this is actually kind of cool, I can see who's attacked me, what the damage was. I can see that my character, you know, armed myself with some armor. And so, you know, great example, you'll see the leaderboard is only 250, right? So the idea there is you can only attack people in the top 250, right? So I started in the top 250. Someone on my team at Hashflow, thank you so much, attacked me. I dropped down to like 777 or something like that. I've now traded my way up to like 340, but like a strategy that I have is I'm like, maybe I don't want to be 249. Maybe I want to sit at 251, you know, until the time is right, and then just unleash on everybody on the leaderboard. So there's a lot of strategy here, like that I think people are starting to figure out themselves or with their teams, but there's a lot more to it than the average person would think. And then with armor, obviously, if you have an armor NFT, when that person hit me, I should have gone down 20%. I only went down, let me see, I only went down 2%, right? So that was good.
Oh wow! Like what? I've got a Hail Mary, and that just like poons noobs by 5%. What's dealing 20% damage?
Is it? Did I get the number right, Thibault, for the sword? Is it 20%?
It should be 10.
That's right.
Yeah, and you have the strongest armor, which means that you protect 80% of that attack. So
exactly. Yeah.
What sword was that, Thibault?
It's the
sword of Hashverse. Okay. That's my favorite one.
Hold on a second. Just for the record, that's not a sword named after a venereal disease, just by the way. Don't do that online. It's not cool when you bring that stuff up online, dude. People think very badly of you.
As you can tell, like...
I was going to say, for anyone that missed it, we have a podcast that Dan was on last week. And I'm not going to lie, this was an internal joke too. When it first came out, all of us were like, how do you pronounce this thing? And so Dan attempted to pronounce it, and then it was turned into a soundbite on CT. So you're welcome, Dan.
That's why I'm so glad. Like that's why I'm so glad I got a Hail Mary, because when I'm I don't even know how to spell that.
No idea. No idea.
The sword that turned into a Starbucks straw on a pumpkin spice latte, right? That's how it did, because there's more social media pictures around it. I'm so glad I got a Hail Mary, because it's so much easier to type and spell, and you know, it's like my little like sprinkle gun and just go bam, 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 bam.
Exactly. Plus you want reloads. I don't know that everybody understands this, but like, and actually this is good to know. Like if you go on a marketplace and you buy a sword or you buy a gun, you can see kind of how many rounds are left. And then there's different NFTs, one for the sword, one for the Hail Mary, that also gives you reloads. But again, if you go to buy those reloads on a marketplace, like make sure to see that the reloads are there and that it's not an empty, you know, ammo pack, or that someone hasn't already deployed it 3 times, right? So again, like things you want to pay attention to. Yeah.
Oh, that's
so
interesting.
Really...
If somebody relists an ammo pack, does it refill, or are they selling you literally a dud?
Well, it depends. Yeah, go ahead.
Do you only have one? You only have, so like for example, the Hail Mary, you have five. Does it refill at any given point in time, or is it done once it's been used?
Yeah, Thibault, do you want to explain the NFT stuff a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So your Hail Mary can be used.
Just hang on a second. Just be very careful how you answer this question, because if I have to throw my Hail Mary away, I'm going to retaliate in the worst possible way. So just please be careful as you proceed.
What's your wallet address?
Yeah, it's like,
Tell me your Hail Mary.
I actually have to head out, guys. I'm gonna have to go. No, but the Hail Mary is safe. You will be able to use that many times. Nothing to worry about. I think what Andrew was mentioning is that the ammo packs are the ones that are essentially one-time use. So you refill your Hail Mary with the ammo pack, and once you've refilled that Hail Mary with that particular ammo pack, that ammo pack itself is no longer of use for you or for anybody. So it's going to be visible which ammo packs have been used and which haven't, because that's in the metadata. But it is important to kind of be mindful that you're not buying used ammo packs and other consumables in the secondary that have already been used, essentially.
Yeah. So just to add to that, like the NFTs you really want are, from a weapon standpoint, the sword and the Hail Mary, right? So those are weapons that can be reused, reloaded. And then from an armor standpoint, we have, the chest plate. We also have the gliders, which are boots. Those can also be reloaded, right? So think of those as like NFTs that have real utility and value down the road. And then a lot of these things called consumables, think of those as things that reload the utility of those NFTs.
Yeah.
And then health med pack, I should call it too. Med pack is an interesting one. And the floor right now is quite high, and probably rightfully so. The easiest way to think about that is someone attacks you with a weapon. You don't have armor, you go down quite a bit, or you do have armor, you go down a smaller percentage. You can use a med pack to basically boost your health right back up. But again, you want to be careful, because if you have a med pack, you might want to wait, for example, till like the last minute of battle to boost yourself back up into the leaderboard, because if you do it an hour before the battle ends, someone could hit you again, and then you need another med pack,
Okay, so we know what you're going to be doing.
What is that?
I was going to say, someone I want to comment to, and I know we very briefly spoke about this on Twitter the other day, but the next generation of weapons, because we made a post on another project. I don't know if they're going to come into the Hashverse, but we're talking about maybe like a bubble gun. A bubble gun.
Oh yeah.
Oh Christ, can't even say it. A bubble gum gun.
Yes.
Or something like that. What's coming with that iteration, and like how am I going to get to submit it?
Yeah, absolutely. So like one of the things I've said before in other podcasts is like, right now you're in the game, right? Like communities are actually a part of the game, right? And then the future of this, because again, we like this notion of DAO governance and everything, is like you'll actually get to create the game. And so what we will do soon, which I'm not going to spill the beans on the timing, is there will be engagement competitions, right? So it could be something like,
I'll definitely win that one. I'm winning that one for sure.
Well, except I'll give you a little alpha. I'll give you a little alpha though. So what will happen is basically, there'll be a call out probably on the Smack Talk Discord, which is our like Hashverse Discord, where there's a certain window of time open, and anyone can submit a weapon idea. And again, like I like the idea of it being inclusive. So what we'll probably do is, you can draw a picture, you can do something on Midjourney. It doesn't really matter, but just create something. Can be crayons even. Create a name for it, and then create a little bit of a backstory for it. So a couple sentences on like how it was formed, all that. And then typically what we'll do is the weapons will, from a damage perspective, they'll probably have less damage than the Hail Mary and the sword, right? Because we want to maintain those where they're at for people that have either won them or bought them. I think that's a good opportunity for them to kind of retain value. And then what we'll do is we'll open up the competition. So what we'll probably do is think like NCAA bracket style. We may pick the 8 weapons that we think make sense, and then put those on a bracket and start doing voting competitions. So today, vote between these 2 on Twitter, tomorrow, these 2, and then over time it comes to 1. And then the person that created the winning weapon might receive a free weapon. The allegiance that they're a part of might receive some free weapons, right? Others might be listed on the NFT marketplace or done as giveaways. So the only alpha that I would give you on the weapons, which I think is important, is there's actually like a pretty rich backstory here. So play around on the website. There's a shout out to BGen actually on my team. He's incredible. He created an entire page that actually takes you through like the lore of the Hashverse, the history of the Hashverse. There's more stuff being added to that as well, but it's a lot deeper than just the story quests. And so again, if you're going to submit something, you want to make sure that it makes sense, if that makes sense, right? So the bubblegum gun, for example, you might want to design it in a way that looks a little more Hashverse-y, and the materials are things from the planet Renova, and like maybe they're not bubblegum balls, maybe they're balls of this, this natural mineral or resource that was mined, in the battlefield or something like that. Maybe it's the blood of donkeys, right? But that's the thing, is like you want to think about that stuff, because when we decide kind of, okay, what are the 8 that we want to nominate as potential additions, we want to make sure that they still tie back to the storyline and lore, because I won't spill the beans, but like we did work with, Marvel folks at Superconductor to create this. So if you think about the long-term roadmap, like, don't be surprised if we do comic books. Don't be surprised if we do graphic novels. Don't be surprised if we do collectibles. Don't be surprised if one day this ends up becoming an episodic series, right? So we want to make sure that like these things can be a part of that in the future, and they're not just like a gimmicky thing for Twitter,
Yeah. Just on the business side of things, possibly just to get Varun involved in this part of it.
Yeah.
Just consider this me giving you a shot of tequila. So essentially it's like the pairs determine the extent with which one can trade. And obviously right now there is a limitation around what it is that you can trade. What's just been obviously about to be brought into the mix. What's currently there? What's currently arriving? And what's the prospect that you guys are looking at for the future in terms of the pairs that are coming?
But I think the pairs will likely just go about adding pretty much everything that's available on the main exchange, right?
Okay.
In the very, very short term. And then in the midterm, in the next month or two, this actually ties into the main product where we expand into we didn't talk about that, have we? Okay. I can't say.
That's just the whole point. Did you not get? Just hang on a second. Did you not get the memo around that you've got to like tell us everything? Otherwise, you'll never get invited back.
No.
We definitely won't speak to you again.
Not much announcements on this one yet. Okay, I'll tell you. In fact, you can basically trade every asset, right? By I think I'm gonna put the deadlines there, but I think by December-ish, we're aiming to make this such that people can just trade every possible asset that exists.
So is this something from a liquidity perspective? Is this something that you guys are setting up, or is this something that you guys are doing kind of like Uniswap? What is the mechanics around it?
So you're gonna make me tell you everything.
You want the marketing answer? I can do the marketing answer.
No. I don't want you to say anything. I want the CEO to say something.
Okay. So let's just say we're expanding the liquidity sources to basically get access to. Okay.
Dan, that was the marketing response. You schooled us.
Ready? Fine. Hey, fine. I'll say something. So look, I think the strategy we're applying at the moment is obviously we have market makers who give you quotes,
Yes.
Trade, but then there are also a bunch of shit coins that no one wants to market make because obviously there's too much risk in carrying and seeing this in the inventory. So those are the coins you can technically direct to other liquidity pools and still give those quotes, because many people come to the platform right now and they trade within the other things that they've mentioned multiple times. It's like we don't get to trade like Pepe coin or Obama coin or something like that, right? I'm like, well, actually, you know what? Let's just do this where we'll basically guarantee quotes to market makers when we can. And in a world where we won't tell you the market maker did not quote. We'd rather build this, routing algorithm that gives you the best possible quote possible, right? So, and right now, as of things stand, we stumbled upon an algorithm that happens to quote better than anything else in the market, right? So including any other competitor. So we should make us a platform that quotes you, that gives you the best quote for any asset, right? And I think that's kind of where this is headed, and that will obviously directly have an impact on the Hashverse trading competitions as well, right? Because you can trade not just for P&L, but also you can do like large volume-based competitions where liquidity is no longer going to be the constraint. Why? you can't trade any asset. So that's the
that is the best answer that anyone
Yes.
has given me today, and I've done a number of interviews. Thank you very much, sir. I cannot
Jedi,
wait.
now you get the
Cannot
market.
wait for all those pairs to be available, and I'm going to smash all of you guys. We're going to be number one, even if you start using Hail Marys and Swords of Custard and all the rest of it.
Can someone give him the spreadsheet of Satan? Has anyone used it?
No, there's one NFT you never want.
Let's not say what it does. Let them find out.
Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can send it to you in the chat. You could. No, you know what I'll do, Jedi. I will DM the photo to you. So if you do want to pin it, you can pin it. But I'll give you the marketing answer. Oh, I don't know if I can do it actually. Never mind.
No, don't give me the answer.
Yeah,
just give him the spreadsheet.
Well, let's just put it this way: if an NFT appears in your wallet that you've never heard of or never seen before, like, get rid of that thing, dump it like as fast as you can. But anyways, going back, the marketing answer. So, I knew Hashflow obviously very well, because they were part of the Arbitrum ecosystem, and I knew what the limitations were when I joined. And that's part of why I joined, because I said to them, I said, listen, I'm a trader. Here's what I want. I want to go to a singular place. I want the best price I can get. I want the lowest fees I can get. I want, any token, any pair. I want to make sure the liquidity is there for any trade size. And, I think I put this on Twitter a while ago, but like, we haven't just been building the Hashverse, since I've been here. We've been building like Hashflow 2.0. So as time progresses, you'll start to see, but really the goal has always been, how do we create a singular destination that can do everything? Because candidly, like, I'm sick of going between 4 different aggregators and dexes every single time, looking for a token or looking for something that doesn't have 50% slippage, right? So this is a pain point that I think we can solve, which will be great, I think, for everybody. Yeah.
Mind's blown right there.
Jedi's like, I'm gonna make some trades.
So I think the reason why I asked the question is because that's the most important aspect of this whole thing, is that, because DeFi is what it is, one of the biggest issues that we're having, and especially in this market, is obviously low liquidity, and then from that point is like fragmented liquidity and the rest of it. And I think, if you guys have a plan, which it sounds like you do, in terms of solving that problem, we obviously have like a product that extends beyond kind of just magic swords and, allegiances. And that would probably be at its core, but then everything else is just a bonus. I do have one more question around, obviously, these items and another market. I mean, this is another marketplace, and that's obviously the NFTs. I mean, we know that the sort of unpronounceability is Hephaestus, obviously, is selling for close to 5 ETH, I think it is, or yeah. I mean,
it was high. I don't know what it is right now. I can look it up, but yeah.
I think it is at 5 ETH. I mean, obviously, I don't necessarily want to get into the price of it, but at the same time, there's a marketplace there, right? And are there plans? And I'm pretty sure that the marketing answer and the real answer, not to say that the marketing answer isn't real, but you know what I mean? It's kind of like, yes, there will be more items, and that this thing can grow based on kind of like this organic process that is very clear that you guys are trying to cultivate.
Yeah.
Is there something in kind of like the immediate future where we'll see more of these items? What's kind of like the roadmap around the NFT market specifically?
So the good news for you is I'm not just the CMO, I'm also the CSO. So I can also give you the strategy answer if you prefer. But yeah, like, just to hit the nail on the head, like, I'm on the page right now, like, we've already done 30 ETH in total volume, which is amazing, because all of these things were basically airdropped and given out back in the day. 769 unique owners, which I love seeing, because that number is fairly close to kind of what we have in battle. I mean, we're about to hit, I think, 5,000 character mints this week, which is amazing, especially in a bear market. But when I see that many unique owners, that says to me, like, these are players. These are folks that are like actively engaged and involved, versus, there's 10 people that scooped up 100 items each, right? That type of thing. But yeah, exactly that. So when we do, for example, like the community-based competitions to create weapons, those will become NFTs. Those will get launched in the marketplace. We, again, might do airdrops. We might do giveaways. We might, again, reward people that created them or voted for them. But, eventually, you guys know how this works. It's like you airdrop those into people's wallets. Some people may choose to list them, right? So, you know, I think that that's definitely going to happen. And then, you know, other things we think about, obviously, you know, there's only an X amount of consumables. Those consumables start to get used up. You know, we'll probably at some point put more consumables out there for people, right? That type of thing. But I think we just want to be conscious of like floors and also conscious of owners, right? Because the worst thing you want to do, as we've seen many examples of this before, is you launch another collection or you flood the market with the same item, and then now all of a sudden the value drops and someone that purchased it for X price goes, you know, that's not a good customer experience. So I think like customer experience at the end of the day is like I guess I should say community experience in Web3 is like a cornerstone of everything we do. So when you said before, like nothing's by chance, like we actually think this stuff out quite a bit, right? So before we do anything, a lot of times we say like, what will the impact of this be, not just on Hashflow and Hashverse, but like what's the impact on community members? What's the impact on, you know, the overall engagement, you know, things like that. So we're pretty thoughtful about this stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, one thing I'd add is that, I mean, we're analyzing gameplay all the time as well. And I think the point of these NFTs at the end of the day is to enable the gameplay in the Hashverse. So what we're doing right now, a lot of it is learning and seeing, you know, how everybody's using these different items and then calibrating based on that. So our one of our main objectives is to enhance gameplay during battle royales as well. And supply of these items is, you know, a big component of that, making sure that people are actually able to attack and that it's not just like 30 people attacking and then everyone else can't participate. So there's that fine line between just like, you know, we lost Varun. There's that fine line between supporting gameplay and also like respecting the value of the NFTs themselves.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Guys, I've got some quick fire questions I'd like to ask you, and it's ironic that Varun has just done a runner. But we're going to go.
I think you could sense it.
He has returned.
Okay, so Varun, I've got some.
You with a sword.
So to finish up, I've got some quick fire questions. We'll go left to right. So go Andrew, Thibault, and then you, Varun. I'm going to get started. So Andrew, when did you first get into crypto?
Oh my gosh, I got to think about this one. Let's see, we're in 23, 22, probably between like 2020, 2021, somewhere in that range. Yeah, during COVID. So like the quick story was, I started going on these 2-hour-a-day kind of mental health walks because I live in LA and the lockdown was pretty strict. And I love to learn. I always have. And so I got, you know, very crypto curious, started listening to podcasts. You know, one turned into 100. And the next thing I knew, I started, you know, stacking ETH, you know, buying some long tails, things like that. And then anyone I think that's intellectually curious, like once you go down the rabbit hole, you can't get out. It's just, it's so intellectually stimulating and fascinating. If you think about the potential implications in so many areas, like even DeSci. I don't think people understand DeSci enough, but like this is revolutionary technology that has the ability to change so many facets of the world for the better, I think. So, yeah.
Agreed. Thibault, favorite thing about crypto?
I think it's the vibes. It's gotta be the vibes, man. I spend so much time just like free time just on Twitter, just like seeing what you guys are saying, honestly, all the time. And I think it's pretty unique for an industry to have the vibes that we got. So I'm proud to say that I'm here, you know, because of the technology, but I stay for the vibes.
Stay for the community. Love it. Okay, Varun, most confusing thing about crypto?
Not the person to ask because he knows everything.
Everything? So,
everything. That can work.
Like, if you think about the user, okay, I'm going to give you the product specific answer, right? So if you're in the rabbit hole, then it's great, right? So, but if you're not someone who is a native DeFi or crypto user in general, it's still like, you know, like if I ask a normie friend, they're like, oh, you crypto people, right? You know, that's usually the connotation, right? So really, I mean, on one hand, we've come a long way since 2009. But at the same time, it's still not as intuitive to any newcomer, right? So it's still, there's a lot of things that we could do to make the user experience.
It's actually a really good answer, and you are 100% right. Yeah.
Andrew, what's 6 times 7?
Wait, did you ask me that one?
That was
42.
you, Andrew. What's 6 times?
Yeah, 42.
Good. 42. Good. Thibault, pineapples on pizza? Yes or no?
No way. Hell no.
Good. You can come back. You can come back next time. Okay, Varun, what would you be doing if you worked in the real world?
I'll be an astronaut.
Be an astronaut. Yeah. Andrew, what's the rarest thing you own?
What's the rarest thing I own? My dad's vintage Day-Date from the 1950s.
Nice.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Okay, Thibault.
What did you say?
Thibault, did you do it?
I haven't done it.
No? You haven't done it. Okay. This one I want to. So this final one, I want it to go to all 3 of you. So I'd be very, very interested, and I just literally want you to say the first thing that comes to your mind with it, and just like genuine, honest, from the heart answer. Doesn't have to be crypto either. Varun, mate, what legacy do you want to leave?
That's okay.
There's no wrong or right answer.
I haven't thought about it actually. So that's the answer. I don't think I have actually thought about that part yet. So I don't know yet.
And Andrew, over to you. What legacy do you want to leave?
Yeah, I think about this one a lot. I'm also old. I'm in my 40s. I have a kid. It's pretty simple. I want to create a future that is inclusive and not built for the 0.01%. Like, so I grew up fairly, low income, and I've been very privileged and very lucky in my life. And I look at, I have a pretty diverse family, and I just look at like how this world is built, who controls this world. And I want to change it. I want everyone to have opportunity. I don't care what country you were born in. I don't care what college you went to. Like if you're driven and ambitious, and there's, online learning platforms that you have access to, like it shouldn't matter, right? You should be able to become whoever you want to be. And so the things that I think inspire me every day on Twitter are when I see someone say that they started their own business, right? Or after, a pretty famous airdrop, I got messages from people like, I bought my first car, I paid off my college loan, I bought my first mattress. Like that's the stuff that keeps me going. That's why I'm here. Yeah.
Thibault.
Yeah, I think for me, it's being part of something that matters. Even, if it matters only a little bit. I think as like a human race, we're in this like constant technology evolution state that, we go through these different cycles and we figure out new things, and slowly, hopefully we get to better places and people get to eat more and they get to be healthier, they get to live longer. So I just want to be a part of something that has a positive impact on the world in a macro way, right? And so, I actually think crypto and just like blockchain tech in general has the potential. I don't think it's there yet at all by any means, but I think it has the potential to, I think, democratize a lot of things in the world that I think need to be democratized for us to actually take the next leap forward as a human race. Yeah. Varun, so up to you.
I think I have an interesting philosophical take here. In general, I think the way, at least it comes out how I perceive just life in general. So when many people think, what's their purpose in life, and I think they define like, this is what my purpose is and this is what I'm up to, and then sometimes when people don't see that as a purpose, then they're like, oh wait, I don't have a purpose, so what am I going to do with my life? So I think that generally the way I think about it is essentially your life is a series of experiences. Like it's almost like playing a video game where you play different levels, you beat the boss, you take from the experiences, you apply to a new level again, and then you keep doing that, right? So the way I see it is essentially the purpose of your life is to live life, right? So, and essentially it's a combination of these series of experiences where you make a difference in each of those levels. and that has a greater impact on everything, right? So the way I see myself is essentially, as opposed to saying this is my objective and that's the legacy I want to leave, it's rather I look at what is important at that time. What can I do to make a difference that's going to have iterative incremental contributions to a greater theme over time, right? So as opposed to saying this is what I'm going to dedicate my life to, I want to see what matters the most, and over time let those experiences add up to build to something credible, and let that be a surprise, as opposed to me defining what it is going to be.
Damn. Now that is a very, very humble way to conclude. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Obviously, like at the end of every podcast, like, where can we find you?
Oh, for sure. So at Hashflow, at Hashverse. If you're on Discord, jump into the Discord, and definitely jump into the Smack Talk channel. There's some very funny stickers in there. We also have on the website, which is hashflow.com, we have the Hash Beats, which is our newsletter, which oftentimes, a little alpha, we release things earlier than anywhere else. So jump in there. And then Gandalf and Thibault, you guys want to give out your personals? Mine's at Andrew Saunders on Twitter.
Yeah. I think I'm Gandalf the Brown on Twitter. I think that's the...
Love it.
Ayo Thibault, AYO TIBO. It's like if you're saying, "What's up?" Like, Ayo Thibault, come here.
Hey yo, Thibault.
Ayo.
Dude, I'm gonna do a little shill for you guys because I don't think guests do it enough. But yeah. I've known you guys for a while. I love Blockmates. Part of why I love Blockmates is because it's all fill and no shill. Like, there's a lot of media out there that doesn't fact check. There's a lot of media that brings on guests and lets them talk about whatever they want to do and just nods along. But like, you guys actually know what you're doing. And like, how do I know you know what you're doing? I have a platform that shows me who the best callers are on Twitter, and Blockmates is often in the top 20%. So, I'm excited for LARP, the Live Action Research Project. I'm going to be a member. But I just want to thank you guys for bringing like a lot of positive benefit to this space and actually like genuinely helping up level it in general.
We love you too, Andrew Saunders. Thank you very much.
Of course.
That's completely blindsided me. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Very, very kind words. No one's ever done that before. Obviously, very welcome, and coming from you, it means a lot. Thank you. Very cool.
On that bombshell, ladies and gentlemen, like, subscribe, share this with like your mother. Do what you need to do. Like us on social. Over and out.